Hi, and welcome to August in Your Garden. I'm going to tell you a little bit about some things you can do in your garden in August, the same things that we're doing. But first, I want to be sure and share with you the entertainment that we're enjoying in our garden this month, and that is dragonflies, bluebirds, eastern bluebirds, and hummingbirds. And the way that we've encouraged them to come to our garden is dragonflies, first off, eat more mosquitoes than any other. So you really those are guests you want to invite to your garden. And we found out and encouraged them by all the stakes that we have in our garden that holds up the flower support netting. And we kind of got them by way of that. So anything you can stick in your garden or around your yard in an open area, they'll start hanging out there to look for the flying insects they want to eat. Our eastern bluebirds, which are so beautiful, we draw them in by placing water in our garden. We always include, it doesn't have to be a fancy bird bath either. We actually use upside down trash can lids, and we actually put them in our tomato patch, which keeps the squirrels and the birds from eating our tomatoes. But having water accessible, you'll see birds there that you would never see at a bird feeder normally. So having water in your garden will bring those types of birds in, like the eastern bluebirds. And then this year, you may or may not have seen our video on our tuberoses. We have had an amazing amount of tuberose blooms this year, and so we've been leaving many of them in the garden instead of cutting them, and then as a result of that, there's hummingbirds in there all the time. So you can plant your garden to bring these guys in. You can provide water, and then you can provide a place for them to sit. So that's really great. So August is a great month to refresh your annuals. Those are all the plants that you planted at the beginning of summer. They were probably beautiful through June and into July, and now they're looking really tired. Cutting them way back, just like cutting flowers, when you prune, new growth comes. So cut back your containers, cut back the annuals that are in your landscape, give them a good haircut, then give them a little bit of food, especially if they're in a container. You can really feed them every week according to directions. We use liquid seaweed and fish, and it just really does a great job. So now is the chance to renew your window boxes, your containers, and your landscape so that they'll look awesome in September and October when we're starting to get a little reprieve from the heat, and they'll really come back gangbusters. So what can you plant in your garden now? It's a little early. We'll talk in a minute about planting in a few weeks for next spring, but what you can plant in your garden now. We're in the Mid-Atlantic section of the country. Our first frost date is November 15th, is the expected first frost. You still have time. We are planting squash seeds out in our garden. We're still planting sunflowers for the next probably 4 weeks. And we also, if you hop to it, you can really run out and put some zinnia and some coxcomb seeds out in the garden and get them going. And late fall, you'll enjoy a fresh crop of stuff. And it's really refreshing to have my tired zinnias are still going that we planted in spring. So it's just kind of nice to have that burst of a fresh crop that you may only cut from them from 2 or 3 weeks, but that's okay because they're beautiful. And when you're planting zinnias and coxcomb, think fall colors. We've been planting red and orange and yellows, just all those great fall colors. And the other thing is that I'm going to personally invite you to join our Cool Flowers virtual book study. It's about all the things that can be planted either in fall, during winter, or very early spring to have the best garden of spring next year. And even if you think you live in a place that's too cold, I'm here to tell you, Cool Flowers, which are hardy annuals, are for everybody. We all just plant them at different times. So there's a link on this newsletter for you to check that out and invite you to join with us. The other great thing to do this time of the year is soil test. Test your garden, test your lawn, send it off to the university, see if you need to add anything besides your normal organic fertilizer. We never add products like lime unless a soil test tells us to. If you don't soil test, you're gardening with a blindfold on. So that's a great thing to do now, because if you get your test results in the fall and add whatever they tell you to add, then it has the winter to go through to kind of mellow out. And so that's just a great time to do it. And the other thing to think about is, if you don't know where you can get a load of compost from, your local bulk mulch distributor. If your city makes compost, we are so fortunate here where I live that our city does make compost, because the compost is the heart of the garden, and fall is a great time to add that into the garden. So I hope I've given you some tips that you can use to help you with your garden. And so see you back here next time, and glad you came.